This old gaming PC just gave me my shot because, well, it just won't turn on anymore. Like, despite it being plugged in, our power supply being switched on, the power button just doesn't work. So what's going on here? Well, most of the time when your power button doesn't work like this, it's almost always a bad power supply, or disconnected or broken power switch. But we can rule out a power supply issue by simply hooking up my Dr. Power 3 power supply tester and turning it on to see that the power supply fires right up. Meaning our power supply is just fine, but what about this switch? Well, we can test this by just bypassing it by disconnecting the connector and shorting our power switch pins with the screwdriver, where we'll see we have no response, which means this is also not the issue. So then what gives? Well, it turns out that it actually has nothing to do with any of the internal components, which is why I almost missed it until I saw this jacked up USB port. Like, this is what it's supposed to look like, and this port right here is all messed up, to the point where I believe this is actually causing a short, because that can easily happen if the wrong pins are touching. But we can verify that this is actually causing everything if we just come down here to the USB 3.0 header and disconnect it, and then go to actually fire the system up, where, yeah, it looks like that was the problem. Because if we put it back and try to turn things on, well, we get nothing. So with us knowing this is the issue, we actually have a couple options on what we can do to get this system back up and running. First, we could just leave this USB 3.0 header disconnected from the motherboard, which would disable both these ports, but that kind of sucks because then you wouldn't have any front I/O. So an alternative would be to actually replace this entire front I/O panel, but that's probably not going to happen because this case is made by RaidMac, who I don't think is even around anymore, to sell us a replacement part. Plus, with my customer being in a hurry, probably the best thing we can do is actually stop the short by taking a pair of tweezers and use them to carefully separate each of the pins, so they're no longer touching each other, causing a short. This way, when we go to turn the system on, even with that connected, well, it fires right up. And then a little pro tip for the repair industry: don't trust your customer to not break it again, especially anytime you're talking about something exposed. So let's just grab a little bit of electrical tape and cover that port up. This way our customer doesn't accidentally try to plug something into that broken port, bending those pins to the point that they cause a short again. So with that said, this PC is pretty much ready to go, except for this ridiculous amount of dust. So let's take this PC out back and blow it out. That looks so much better. So with this gaming PC now back to firing up, thanks to us no longer having that shorted USB port, let's get this gaming PC back over to our customer.